And that pisses me off. Opening their marriage, his wife wouldn't be pissed off. Hi, welcome to another day of Bookmas, and I'm going to talk to you about the 4 books that I hated this year. When I say hate, I really feel as though that is a bit of a stretch, a little bit. I would say I strongly disliked these 4 books, and I'm going to tell you why. I will not put any spoilers on here simply because some of the books are kind of a little bit more popularized, and you might want to read them, even though I didn't like them. But this is just my opinion on these books. So let's get started. The first book that I'm going to talk about is Last Couple Standing by Matthew Norman. This is a book about a married couple opening their marriage. The married couple is part of this couple group of 4 different couples, and all of the women and the men all went to college together, and over time they kind of just like coupled up and they kind of stayed in this community of 4 couples together who had life together, had children together, and like lived very close to one another. And at this time, 3 of the couples are divorcing, breaking up. They're no longer together, and there's this one last couple standing, and they decided to open up their marriage. And obviously that comes with a level of problems, and we kind of just, that's what the book is about. Not to get into any specifics of what actually happens in the book, but the reason why I would not recommend anybody to read this is because the book seemed flat. I don't know, like it didn't really say anything. This is how I can explain it to the best of my ability. If a man who was married wrote a story about a married couple opening up their relationship, but did it in a way so that his wife wouldn't be pissed off. That is how the book reads. I don't know. It wasn't fun. The second book that I'm going to talk about that I feel as though so many people have been just raving about, but I'm just like, I don't like the book. And that is The Butterfly Garden by Dot Hutchinson. This book, it's a thriller, and if you watched any of my other videos, you know how I feel about thrillers. And it's this girl who has lived in confinement in this prison that this wealthy man has built to house young girls as what he calls butterflies. And it's the recanting of the story of her like kidnapping and her encapturement in her victimhood of being in this butterfly garden, because all of the girls that are there are considered the person who is imprisoning them. He's called the gardener. The gardener's butterflies. And so we're kind of recanting the story about that. And what was really hard for me is I didn't care. Like, I feel so bad because it's like you're talking about something so egregious and so vile and hurtful, but like I don't know if I was reading it wrong, but there was just nothing that made me feel like, oh my goodness, I'm immersed into the story. It was just like, okay, that sounds really, really bad. That's very, very deplorable. But I wasn't like rooting for any of the characters. I didn't feel sympathy. My heart didn't tug for any of them. But 2, my grievance with the book is 1, we find out loosely how the book ends, right? At the beginning, on the onset of when the story starts. So we kind of already know how it's going to end. And so we're still going through this process, and we're going through this process talking about all of the butterflies that are in the garden. And I'm assuming that we're trying to figure out the resolution for every single individual butterfly or girl who was captured and made victim, but there isn't that much story building on the characters for me to actually root for them or to want to see, how was their life afterwards? Did they survive? Did they make it out? What's their story? And we don't really get any of that. We're hearing the story explicitly from one point of view of one girl, and it just seems like it was missing something for me, and it did not get a high rating for me. I did not enjoy it. The third book that I'm going to talk about also is a thriller as well. Yeah, it's a thriller, and this thriller is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. Again, I don't care about these characters, but the book just felt as though it was just deplorable, egregious things for the sake of being deplorable and egregious, right? And so I'm having on this one hand that there's this one character that I hate and I despise and I'm irritated with, but then on the other hand, the victims of this person's crime I don't care about. I'm sorry. I'm moving too quickly. What is Pretty Girls about? Pretty Girls is about three sisters. So there's three sisters, and the oldest sister, when she's 19, I believe, goes missing. And the story is taking place that the middle and youngest sister are going on this journey to figure out what happened to their older sister, if she just went missing, if she's alive somewhere, if she's dead, like what is her story, what has happened. Because it's been so many years since she has gone missing, and they just wanted to know, like they wanted some resolution. So that's kind of what the story is about loosely. And so there are some twists and turns that make you like, oh, I would say the first 1/5 of the book, I'm interested, like, oh, that happened, ooh, what's gonna happen next? I'm very interested, I'm very engaged, I'm very there for it. And then the middle of the part of the book is so freaking slow. It's so slow, nothing happens. It's this build up to a place where I think if you definitely read thrillers, and I think if you're just a skeptical person in general, you kind of see a little bit where it's going. There is a twist, there is a turn that I didn't see, but for the most part, you kind of see where it's going, and it just feels as though like I'm just reading about deplorable things for the sake of reading about deplorable things. And there's no purpose, there's no rhyme, there's no reason, and that pisses me off because it's not enjoyable. It's not fun for me. I'm not having fun. So the last book that I'm going to talk about is Her Secret War. This book is about this girl, this woman who I forgot her name. Initially she lives in Initially she lives in Ireland, and these German fighter planes come and bomb like the city or the community that she's living in. The bombing results in her being very, very severely injured, and as well as the death of her sister. So after the death of her sister and like kind of her only family that's there, she decides to move to Britain because she doesn't want to be neutral at this time. It is World War I, and Ireland is being neutral in the war. World War I or World War II? I think it's World War II. I don't know. The country's trying to remain neutral, and she doesn't want to be neutral anymore, so she moves to Britain to like basically help the war efforts as a method to avenge her family's death, specifically her sister. And while she's there, she's working in this like military base, helping create copies of manuscripts or instruction manuals to how they build like the fighter jets. She gets called upon by an officer of the military, and he tells her, hey, I need your help because there is someone in this company that is actually working for the German forces, and I need your help to seek him out. And so that is like what is going on in the mission. The problem with the book is that those are what I just told you. I didn't even mean to spoil it, but what I just told you are the only two things that happen in this book. There's one other thing, there's one plot twist that happens at the end of the book that I won't spoil, but nothing else happens in this book. It's very flat, it's very dry, it's very anticlimactic. It was very much like, okay. And again, it's another thriller, and I promise you, I do not intentionally go out and seek thrillers. I do not look for them. They find me and disappoint me. They find me to disappoint me. I do not know why. So yes, those are the 4 books this year that I do not like and would not recommend that you read. I'm thinking about doing another video instead of doing 5-star reads, because I feel like 5-star reads is like, oh, it's their best of your best book, and I just feel like that is like so quickly can be either hit or miss, right? It's kind of like what it is. I was thinking, instead of doing like my 5-star reads, why don't we do my 4-star reads? Because I feel like 4-star reads give you a little bit more wiggle room, right? I think your anticipation of how good the book is a little bit lower because you're just like, oh yeah, that's not the best book that she ever read. That's like something chill, something in the middle. It's a little bit like, I'm telling you, like, I think you will enjoy the book, but I'm not saying that you are going to have a cataclysmic, life-changing experiences where the neuron connections in your brain change because of the book, because every book can't be like that, unfortunately. So I'm thinking about doing that. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. It was lovely speaking with you, and guess what, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.